Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Conversation with Coach. I hope everyone has had a wonderful Wednesday. I know if you're like me, this week has been slammed packed. I already feel like it's Friday and it's just Wednesday, and I am really happy and excited to be here with you. I was looking forward to coming to this conversation with Coach because I consider it like a wind down Wednesday, especially when I've had a day like today. Or let me just be real honest. When I've had the last 3 days like I've had, it is a welcome reprieve to come into conversations with Coach and be with my team. And I just want to welcome all of you that are joining via Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. Thank you all so much for joining. I have a wonderful show for you all or episode for you all this evening. And I don't know how many of you on here have ever had the idea of wanting to start a nonprofit. I know I have. I've always wanted to do a nonprofit in memory and in honor of my grandmother, and just haven't really figured out how to get it going. And maybe you're out there thinking the same thing. Well, my guest tonight has actually done that. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before I bring her up. My guest this evening is Sylvia Pradia. She is a nonprofit founder, a wife, and a mother. She is the CEO of Three Watercolors, and it is a 501c3 nonprofit organization in Texas. They serve children, young adults ages 5 to 18 who are abused, neglected, and underprivileged with basic human daily needs. She also loves the opportunity to write her, she would also love the opportunity to write her story one day soon. If any of you are out there who have already written your book, or you might could share some tips with her on how to write a book. Without further delay, help me welcome our guest this evening, Miss Sylvia Pradia. Hello, Sylvia.
Hey.
Welcome to Conversations with Coach. Everyone, let's put some hearts and thumbs up in the chat and show Sylvia some love. She's a little nervous about being here this evening, and we want to make sure that she knows that there is nothing nothing to be nervous about, and that we are all here to support her. So, Sylvia, I shared a little bit about you, and I shared about your wonderful nonprofit, Three Watercolors. And I also shared my desire to one day be able to do a nonprofit in memory of my grandmother. That is my greatest desire, just because she was such an inspiration to me. And there's so much in terms of what it is that I do, my love for education, my love for reading, my love for working with children, all came from my grandmother. And my question for you, and where I would like for this to go and lead into, is how you and possibly your story inspired you into this nonprofit.
Okay, so the way I ended up starting this nonprofit was from my own personal history, of course. Usually when people start nonprofits, it's due to a passion that they have. And my passion was to make sure that I would be able to provide services to children that are currently being abused and neglected. And like I said, I was that child. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be for these kids what I needed when I was growing up. And what that looks like, it's a lot of basic human needs that we always kind of overlook. And basic, if someone doesn't understand what basic is, it's toothpaste, toothbrush, shampoo, conditioner, clothes, undergarments, sanitary napkins, hygiene products, and blankets, pillows. So it's a lot of stuff like that drives you to start a nonprofit. So you have to want to be able to give back in a way. It's not so much you're doing it because it's a job, you're doing it because it fulfills something in you. And so that's what it does for me.
That is awesome. In terms of your story, you mentioned that that was the inspiration. That was pretty much your springboard. What specifically about your story that you feel comfortable with sharing with us that led you into the specific target, the young, the abused, the neglected children?
So from a very young age, um, I was abused and neglected, obviously. And we all know there's 4 different types of child abuse. And let's just say I suffered them all. Um, and so I always felt misplaced. Oh no, I think I'm gonna cry. But so I always felt misplaced and discarded, and so I know wholeheartedly what us as kids truly need um, firsthand, right? Because I walked that line. I was that child, always hungry. And it's just so strange because not until I started going to therapy is when I realized that all these things began to surface. And then I was like, wait, what? So I found out that my brain had kind of blocked everything out so it can protect me.
Mhm.
Um, but that was my motivation. It started when our kids were very young. And, every December or October, November, we would say, hey, go grab $20 out of your piggy bank. And, whatever you pull out of the hat, the sock, the cup, the bowl is what you're going to buy. Right. So you're going to buy 20 of this, 20 of that, 20, whatever you pull out. So what we would have in these containers would be 20 pairs of socks, 20 beanies, 20 scarves, gloves, toothpaste, toothbrush. And so it started like that with our kids. And in the beginning, they didn't quite understand. They were like, well, why am I spending my money on people we don't even know? And
Mhm.
I'm like, one day, when you understand, I'm going to tell you my story. So, yeah, so it started very young with our kids. And for a long time, they didn't understand it until they got to high school. And then they were like, oh my gosh, like we definitely have to give back. Yeah.
Wow. And I appreciate your transparency and the rawness of your emotions. And I'm very sorry that you experienced that as a child.
It's okay.
And and as you were going through that as a young child, at what age was it that you were able to know that when I am able to make a difference in the lives of others, this is what I want to do?
So, like I said, I've always knew that I wanted to give back. I just didn't know how to give back in a big way, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So $100 was our budget for the year. And It started maybe when I was, I want to say 24, 25, when, so I tried to take my life. Um, and then I thought, okay, well, who's going to watch these babies if I go through with it, right? But again, it's just, I always felt misplaced, like I never belonged anywhere. And so not until I tried to take my life is when it kind of clicked something in me where I was like, you just can't do that right now, because you've got a whole bunch of little kids that need you, including your own kids. So I was like, well, dang, now I'm stuck. now I gotta walk this walk and live this life and manage how to give back. And so, so it was about 24, 25, I want to say, because the kids were still little. So, that's when all that was thought up.
So at 24, 25, the aha moment comes like, I know how I'm going to do it now.
Yes.
So is that at the point where Three Watercolors is born?
No.
Okay.
So I waited, and it's just one of those things where you kind of play it out in your head and it sounds amazing. And then you research it and you kind of think about it. And then, now you're looking at the money that it takes to get a nonprofit off the ground, getting all your paperwork in line, and, all these things that I wasn't prepared for. I just knew that I just wanted to jump in, and I did it. I just jumped in. I was like, I'm going to stop reading and I'm just going to start doing. And so that's what I ended up doing. I stopped reading, and I did it. I don't ask me how, because I don't even think I know how I did it, but I'm here. And so I have my 501c3, and I have amazing people that have jumped on board, who decided they want to be a part of, this mission that I've got going on. And you can't save the world, but I'm going to get super close to it. So
I like that. You can't save the world, but I'm going to get super close to it. I love the confidence and what that sounds like. And share with us, if you could, what does Three Watercolors mean to you? Wow, the name, where did that come from?
So it was an inspiration from my babies. So blended family, we have 5 kids. And then me gave birth to 3 of them. And so it's ocean, rain, and river. And so they play a big part in this, because there's 3 of them. They have water names, and they don't even have a clue how many years they gave back from their piggy banks, that it's just crazy to me. And so that's where I got my name from, is they were my inspiration. They were, because I wasn't, and I still will never be, I will never win the award of being the best mother ever, obviously, because I didn't have that kind of upbringing. So anything that I can do to show them how much they mean to me, I try and incorporate them anywhere I possibly can. So that's where that name came from. So
I love that story, and I love the name Three Watercolors. And if I could just offer one thing to you, when you said that you will never win the award for being the best mother because you didn't have it, oftentimes I am of the belief that what we have missed in our past, God will bring us through the form of, whether it be our children, whether it be something else, through an idea or a vision, a dream, a business. Yeah. And he will fill us in a different way. And so I want to share with you that you are already a phenomenal mother. Georgia Wright has put that in the chat, that you
Oh,
are already a phenomenal mother, that you sound like you're already a phenomenal mother. And so I want you to take that
thank you.
and just know that you already are, because of the fact that you instinctively knew what it was that you needed when you were going through what you were going through. And because through that instinct of knowing what you needed from a mother, you are providing that to your children now. So I just want to offer you that as encouragement. In terms of, you mentioned setting up three watercolors that you just, pun intended, dove right in,
I did.
and that you were just so excited about it. And so you had this God-sized vision, and you jumped right in. And then you have surrounding you now this amazing team. Talk with us about the Three Watercolors team and what they mean to you, and how they are helping you to carry your God-sized vision.
Um, so let's start, of course, with our kids. Um, they they're just incredible. You know, none of us get paid for any of this, so it's like you ask your teenagers to do something for you, and it's like, oh my god, but they still get up and do it. And of course, I've come across some amazing people who give time, who give donations, um, without asking questions, you know.
Mhm.
And it's just incredible to me how I've come this far just by jumping in. It's like one day I literally got up and I told my husband, I'm done reading. I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm going to call the Secretary of State and I'm just going to do it. And whatever it costs, I'm going to pay for it. And I'm just going to do it. Right. So my husband was like, okay, um, do we know how we're doing this? We're just going to do it. Like, I don't even care how we do it. We're just going to do it. But as so we did it, and then as we came across some phenomenal people that decided they wanted to jump on board this crazy journey of mine and this thought process of mine, how they understand me is ridiculous. But um, yeah, they're like, I'm in. Sign me up. Where do I sign up? So it's just amazing to me. So
That is awesome. I think sometimes when we have an idea and we're going through and we will get the analysis paralysis, where, like you were saying, you just kept reading and you kept reading. And finally it was like, I'm just going to do it. I
yeah.
don't care. I'm just going to take some action, and I'm just going to do it. And I wanted to share with you some of the things that are showing up in chat on Facebook, that they are so appreciative of you sharing your story. And they would say, thank you for sharing your story, Sylvia. There's another one that's coming in that's saying that they're proud of you.
Oh,
And I already mentioned that they feel like you're a phenomenal mother. And so I just want to let you know that you are being supported out there, um, and they are just super proud of you.
thank you guys.
So the encouragement that you are sharing with us as it relates to three watercolors, it prompts me to ask you, as I mentioned to you, and you've already kind of shared, as you're sharing your story, you already mentioned some of the steps that are involved in having a nonprofit. You've mentioned 501c3. We are familiar. That's a familiar term that we hear about, and but if you don't mind sharing, and I do understand that in every state it is going to be different, the process, specific things. So you don't need to go very specific about it at all. But in just a general sense, now that you are into three watercolors and it has been birthed and it is a real thing now, up and flourishing, for those of us who desire to jump in like you did and take that step to make our nonprofit a reality, Tell us what you would recommend, the steps that you would recommend us to do.
Well, I would recommend to stop reading and just jump in and get it done. Like, it's enough with the reading and making notes and thinking about it. Like, so the first thing obviously you have to do is you gotta call, the Secretary of State. And I'm not sure what other states require, but I know here in Texas, you contact the Secretary of State, you tell them what you're trying to do, then they'll guide you. They can't give you legal information, but or even recommendations, but they can tell you what the process looks like. And then, they'll say, what's the name of your nonprofit that you're thinking? And you give them a name, and then they'll look it up and they'll say, nope, it's taken. Or they'll say, if you want to keep that name, we have 4 or 5 people that use that specific name. Do you want to ask for permission to be able to take ownership of that name as well? Which it happened to me when I just wanted watercolors. They did tell me there was somewhere in Texas a daycare center that was already using the name, and that if I wanted to reach out and ask for permission to use the name. And I was like, absolutely not. Can we put a 3 in front of the watercolors and then call it a day? So they were like, it's all yours, like it's not taken. So I was like, I'm not gonna ask anybody for permission, because then it gets kind of tricky. Then you look up that nonprofit, and then all of a sudden it gives you 4, 5, 6 people under that nonprofit, and it kind of makes it difficult to kind of separate yourself from whatever else other people are doing. So I chose to go the different route where I just didn't want to share a name. And then from there, you have to fill out the forms for your 501c, and depending what kind of nonprofit and what you register yourself with the Secretary of State is what kind of 501 you'll be receiving. So there's different types of IRS's registration processes. So just depending on what it is you're doing and what it is you're requesting from your nonprofit is the way you would register.
That's good, because there are C3s and C4s, and so it just really, like you said, it really just depends on how you're going to establish it and what you're going to do. I know that there are some misconceptions as it relates to nonprofits, and probably one of the biggest misconceptions out there is that nonprofits are not allowed to make money. Can you speak to that?
So nonprofits, depending on what it is you're labeled with the IRS, you are able to make money off of that. But here's a catch, is any money that you bring in and you take for yourself. I still have yet to see any money myself, to be quite honest. And I've been up and running for 2 years now, going on 3. And there's months where there's no donations, but those kids are knocking on the door. And it's just like, my husband can tell you, I do what I shouldn't be doing, and that's pulling out of my bank account to go fund my nonprofit when I have kids knocking at the door, and I just cannot say no to them. And so when you finally get funding, it has to be written in your bylaws that you will be getting X amount of money per year. And then the catch is that the money that you're making from the nonprofit supposedly has to go back into your nonprofit some kind of way. So you're really not paying yourself, like me. Like, it's not like you go to work and you get a paycheck and you go home, you spend it, you blow it, you pay bills, whatever it is you want with it. With a nonprofit, one day, soon I hope, one day when I get to that level, when I can actually write myself a check, then in return I have to put it back into the nonprofit some kind of way. So there that is.
So
Yeah.
there are nonprofit rules, and I know everyone's probably that's watching or will watch are probably aware that the NFL is a nonprofit organization. Right. And it does employ people, and as she stated, there are different categories of nonprofits, and it depends on how you're set up. We do have a few minutes before we end, and I appreciate you so very much, the transparency, the sharing of your story, just talking about Three Watercolors, and the fact that if you're just now joining us and you missed Sylvia explaining what Three Watercolors is, it is her nonprofit that serves abused and neglected children from that do not have access to just basic daily necessities. And we are talking about toiletries. We are talking about things that you and I have access to, and we probably don't even give second thought. These children do not have access to that, and they are coming out of horrific abusive situations. And before we go, I always like to do a call to action for my viewing and listening audience, and that's going to be the case here. But I'm going to pause just a little bit because I know Sylvia is not going to say this for herself, so I'm going to say it on her behalf. Sylvia is looking and is in need of a grant writer. And it would be very helpful if this person could do it at a small to no cost offering to her. And because grant writing is essential for nonprofits. And because of what she does, she is able to qualify for many grants. But right now, that is something that her business has a great need for. So if you are watching this and you have that expertise, or you know someone who is really good at grant writing, please, please, please get in touch with Sylvia. The call to action is follow Sylvia on her social medias. Also, reach out to her website. This is her website. It is 3watercolors with an S.com. You can also follow her on all of her social medias. She is on Instagram, she's on Facebook and Twitter, and all of them are at 3watercolors. That is very easy to remember. And lastly, you can reach out to her at her email. It is slacyj@3watercolors.com. Going to leave that up there. Again, if you've got questions for her, if you know how to put her in touch with an excellent grant writer, that is going to be so very helpful. And donations. Donations are so very helpful. Monetary donations. You can reach out to her if you want to mail things to her in terms of items for these children. Communicate with Sylvia with exactly what she needs and how they need to be sent if you're going to be sending items, because just sending what you think might not be how she needs to receive them. And so we want to make sure that she gets what she needs so that she can be of help. Sylvia, I want to let you know that someone here in the chat has put, I don't know a grant writer. However, I do follow a particular person on YouTube that does give free information on grants and may be able to connect. Thank you for putting that in there, Diana. If you would just send her an email to let her know who that person is, I appreciate that information so very much. Anything that we can do to help connect her with that individual or with someone who actually does the actual grant writing, that would be great. So with final thoughts, I always ask a guest right before they leave if they could leave with my audience, with my team, one piece of the one habit as it relates to nonprofit that they can take away from here in terms of a mindset when it comes to nonprofits?
Um, I mean, it's just a whole array of things. But if you had to take away one thing regarding nonprofits, um, a lot of people truly don't understand them, and they just think, that it's just. I'm laughing at the comment that I'm seeing. By the way, that's my husband.
I knew it
So
was.
he's my cheerleader. Yeah, he's one of my inspirations, guys. So now you know. But so yeah, if you have something to take away from this nonprofit idea, it's not about making money or paying yourself, or it's all about helping a cause. And that's the bottom line. It's you're giving wholeheartedly, no strings attached, no asking questions. You're just going to give because it feels right to you. So
Absolutely. And here is one more question. Does she have an Amazon wish list for monetary items?
I do. As a matter of fact, I've put it on my social media several times, and I'm not quite sure if my husband, and if it's not there on my website, you can get with him because we can get him in trouble for it. But it should be. Yeah. So yeah, it's on my social media platforms, but I'm not quite sure if he's actually put it on the website. So, but if not, we will. Promise.
All right. Well, Sylvia, thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I
Thanks.
appreciate you so very much. And I am wishing you nothing but success. I want you to make sure that you stay in touch with me. Let me know how things are going. And whatever you might need, if I can, whatever I can do to be of help or of service to Three Watercolors, I am here for you. I'm so happy that we came across each other and that we met, and I am so happy that you joined me
Oh,
tonight.
me too. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Give me just a moment to close out, and I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining me tonight. I hope you all got as much out of this as I did. I learned a tremendous amount of information from tonight. Thank you so much for being involved and offering resources to her, as well as just helping her to feel comfortable and welcoming her into our space. If you wouldn't mind, I've got another call to action for you. This is where you can find me on my social media. I am wanting to grow my YouTube. Please share my YouTube and subscribe to it if you have not. But after these after this episode is posted live, reshare it. And anyone that you know that has a nonprofit or is thinking about a nonprofit, have them listen to it. And also, if you've got anything that you are thinking about that maybe this new year's come in and you're having some challenges with your confidence or just getting your mind right, reach out to me on my website and schedule your discovery call. Let's talk about it. Let's see where I can actually be of help to you in this new year, because we can't do it by ourselves and we shouldn't do it by ourselves. Let me partner with you. And I'm going to see you here next week, same time, same channels. I've got a special guest next week. If you have thought about or you're in the market to sell your home and or maybe refinance your home, and you've wondered about staging and the effects of staging and how that helps to get you more money for your home, or if it makes a difference to stage your home to refinance it. I've got an expert that's going to give us the answers to that. You all have a great rest of your evening, and thank you all so much for joining. Good night.